Yeah, I wear this every day. What's up, everybody? My name's Taylor. You can call me Sheepish, whatever. Today we're going to be doing a, what do we call these? Today we're going to be doing a draw and chat. Draw and chat? Sketching shit? Doodle and talk? I don't know. If you got a catchy name for these, you let me know, because I'd love to hear it. But I'm going to be drawing. You're going to see my my video of Chetney from Critical Role, and I'll be talking about it. I'll have introspective thoughts. I'll have thoughts and comments on the creative process, how the drawing went, where it started, how it progressed. Yeah, I've been enjoying doing these. I hope you enjoy the process. I hope you enjoy the videos that I've been producing. But anyway, yeah. We'll be focusing on that video, going through the entire process. If you like it, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Otherwise, see you then. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, audio in this kind of sounds like shit. It spikes a lot. I don't know what the hell's up with my mic. It's a fucking piece of shit. I need to get a new one, I guess, because sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's quiet, and it wants to just spike the whole time. So I liked what I said. I tried to record it again, and it didn't go as well. So hope it's not too distracting. Either way, let's get back to the video. All right, I'm sure I just talked the hell out of that intro, and you're all now real excited to go. So, new setup. Who this? Let's get into the video. Yeah, so this one I was playing around with the pose. I had no idea what I was going to do. I suppose for context, this is Chetney from Critical Role. I'm sure I explained in my intro, because I know I probably will, but for reference, I'm recording this before I do my intro, because if you do it out of order, it's more confusing for me every second of the process. But Critical Role, one of my favorite fandoms, is my favorite, there's no question. Well, let's just say property, maybe not fandoms. That's a whole other topic, but Critical Role in general is. Either way, pretty much every character Travis plays I love. I can't help it. But I love Chetney, so there'll be many more Critical Role fan art videos to come. Don't you worry. But this one will focus on Chetney. Chetney is a gnome. He's a little boy. And yeah, we were just trying to capture his essence. You know, this is one that took me quite a while, mostly because I stopped. I started it for a minute and then gave up on it, and yeah, honestly, one of the best things about this channel is that it's giving me motive to finish some of the pieces that I never got around to finishing. So it's holding me accountable, I suppose. So I have some content to show you all. But yeah, here we go. We kind of found the pose we're looking for. We're getting into it fairly quickly. But I guess for context, if you don't know Critical Role, you don't know Chetney. Chetney Pockaby. I like wood. That's his thing. He loves wood. He's a carver or expert craftsman, toy maker. RTA baby, respect the alpha. You'll see that come up later. But he is carving a piece of wood with a chisel. The thing you don't know about Chetney, the top secret mystery, is that Chetney is a werewolf. Spoilers, sorry. He's a werewolf. So this piece I ended up calling Carving by Candlelight, and yes, I was fairly proud of that, so thank you for commenting on how lovely that name is. I name my pieces, but usually only when I post them on Twitter. Oh, by the way, I have a Twitter. You're welcome to check it out. I do in-progress shots, full images posted, so if you want to see them outside the context of the video, look at me self-promoting. Either way, I usually only name them... Hi, Quoth. I hope you guys did or didn't hear that. If you like Quoth, he'll probably be in here in a second. I only name them really when I post them on Twitter, but yeah, that is the name of this piece, Carving by Candlelight. And as you see here in the background, we are putting his wolven form, kind of half consuming him as it sort of does. Even though he likes being a werewolf, he doesn't necessarily have full control when it happens. By the way, maybe we should talk about the piece, not only Critical Role, even though I could talk about Critical Role for hours. And there will be a dedicated, probably Critical Role video before too long, because the property itself has so much meaning to me personally. We'll get into that in a different point. But yeah, so we're throwing in some flat colors here, sussing out, you know, what it's going to look like as far as, you know, shading light values. Like I said, I knew that he was going to be carving. I knew it was going to be nighttime because of the woven transformation. So I was like, oh, a candle might look cool to give some like yellow, blue contrast and some nice warm light perspective. Light perspective? I don't think that's the right word. We'll just say lighting. Yeah, we're doing some base colors here, throwing in some warmth to his skin. This one overall I shaded in, or rendered or colored, or however the hell you'd like to say, because it really doesn't matter. I did it in a pretty rough way, had a lot of texture to it. I've done this a few different times, but I thought with like the werewolf vibe and him carving, and I liked the idea of it being a rougher kind of texture to the color, not as distinct lines as maybe the Demona piece you saw previously. Overall, I don't know if I love this piece. I really like aspects of it, but I probably could have worked it even more at the very end. I actually only finished this like a week ago. But that's after taking a break, for months. But yeah, you can see we're playing with colors. We're trying to suss out what we're going to do. At this point, I hadn't really done much more body for the wolf. I do add more body, more direct fur texture. A lot of these lines are still really rough, obviously. And we all know I like line work, so we'll get further into that. But yeah, alas. Coffee sips for the win, baby. If you have an energy in any way, tea, energy drinks, coffee, we prefer coffee, but any of them, let me know. It fuels us and gets us through the day. So yeah, still going through colors here, figuring out what we want, figuring out where we can put the warmth highlights. Yeah, I wanted this piece to have a little bit of whimsy. That's the word I'm looking for. I wanted to have a little bit of whimsy. I wanted it to be a little bit mysterious with the dark, playing into it. Like I said, I do add more detail. I don't keep it quite so, stark, or quite as extreme with these color bounces. But I wanted to, make the background a little absent. I thought it played into the whole werewolf vibe. I even considered putting a full moon or moonlighting in the background. Oh, in case you don't know, because I've never worn glasses before, and I'm sorry for the ring light that you're probably seeing in them. These aren't actual prescription glasses. It's from blue light. We're hella committed to looking at screens 24/7. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, this helps my eyes so they don't just burn and melt and fall out of my head. While it could be fun, I wouldn't be able to do these videos anymore. Let me know, by the way, if you like this new setup. I've been wanting to do this for a little bit, and I've only done a few videos, but I've been thinking about this concept, and I watch a lot of Twitch streams, and obviously Twitch streams throw themselves in the video, while they're playing a game or whatever, and I kind of like the idea of me being here. I felt like I might make it more personal as I'm drawing, maybe something else to focus on if the drawing itself isn't too interesting. But yeah, this drawing in general, again, I love the character Chetney. He's extremely expressive just because of Travis. Again, Travis Willingham. He's a voice actor. Critical Role. It's an online D&D show. Let me lift these up because I'm talking to you. It's an online D&D show where they stream and play content, and I've been watching them for an extremely long time, probably 6 years. Either way, they play different characters, but Travis in general is extremely emotive, and because of that, Chetney is extremely emotive and charismatic, and you can't help but love him. So he's an old guy. He has a lot of expressions, and because of that, he has a lot of interesting face wrinkles, which is one of the reasons I wanted to draw them. I thought it'd be a really interesting choice to show all of those details in his face. That'd be really cool. So yeah, you can see I'm sussing out those wrinkles, playing around with nose size, everything. I will obviously at some point throw on the character art. So even though it is a D&D show and it's online, theater of the mind, it has, dedicated character art for the design of the characters, so you have an impression of what they look like. Not to mention the millions of people who do. Maybe millions is extreme, but probably not, let's be honest. Hundreds of thousands at minimum of people who do fan art for this property in general. So yeah, the design itself is not my own. I don't want to take credit for the design of Chetney. And if you know anything about Critical Role, you'll know that. So I'll throw on what he generally looks like, and then you can, see some of my interpretations. How my line work varies, or how I approach the construction of the character. I've said this before. I don't think my overall design prowess is anything extreme. I just try to bring in some of the things I enjoy into a character. I don't like to deviate too much, and honestly, that's one reason why, sometimes doing like a cartoon character or a character that's more simplistic in design to start with can be fun, but it can be challenging, because I think it's really easy to lose the identity of the character once you start adding all of those details. It can feel like it doesn't even look like them anymore because they're such a simplistic starting point, or such a very unique design starting point. So, with Chetney, I wanted to add a lot of face details, all the hashing and the wrinkles. He has scarring, which is super cool. His hair specifically is a little bit in my aesthetic, where it's kind of real whimsical and twirly and flippy, and I thought that would be really fun to accentuate that, give him the really big, bushy, scraggly eyebrows. His aesthetic is chaotic as hell, or his personality. So I wanted his like eyes and everything to be like bulging out of his head, and eventually add like little teeth and stuff in his mouth. And like I said, I'm happy with the piece as it comes out, but I think the line art is better than the shading, because I think I care more about the line art. Let's be honest. But you let me know what you think. Either way. Sorry if it sounds like I'm talking a lot. I guess I have a lot to say. I've been mulling over what video we're going to be doing, and this one just been sitting in the background waiting for me to go. I'm going to keep trying to do his voice because I love Chetney. What are you going to do? Yeah, this is something that I did a lot in the past. I don't do it all the time, and honestly, I probably reduce it here, although I can't remember because it kind of suits his face. But you can see all the hashing, all those line marks that work to develop the overall surface shape. You have the flat lines, but then you get those lined hashes that work to accentuate that shape and give it more of a deeper dynamic representation, I guess. It sounds like I'm just throwing words together, but I swear they mean something. But unless you go full out on them, sometimes they can look too busy on a piece. For those who aren't artists, or maybe if you're an early artist, or you just don't have a full grasp. But the more lines you generally put on a face, granted, line weight makes a difference, but the more lines you generally put on a face adds to the overall age of the character. You can put a few lines and it can easily make them look significantly older depending on your style. So if you're not wanting them to look aged, you usually want to go simplistic and have a more clean, open face, right? There's not as much surface detail. Obviously, Chetney's supposed to look really old, so it's a fun way to delve into that and make it more, have it even more depth, because you can really throw a lot of lines, try to get the surface to be really mapped out. So here you can see we're actually going into the wolf a little bit further. Giving more context to those teeth and the snarl and the mouth. Yeah, mouth. That's how you say that in a weird fucking way. I don't know. The snoot. Some of them fingies. Yeah. This drawing, I mean, it's been happening more progressively. One thing that I'm actively focusing on my drawings going forward, and out of the videos you've seen, the Joss one and the Nona one are very, very new drawings, where some of the other ones in this one are a little bit older. But one thing I'm actively focusing on at this point with my art is not being afraid or almost ashamed of using reference photos. I know that sounds really freaking weird, especially if you're an artist. But there was a big part of my mindset where it's like, okay, if I am creating something, if I am the artist, then I should know exactly how it's supposed to look, right? Like if I'm looking at something that's cheating, completely fucking stupid. Look, I know it's stupid. You don't have to tell me I know. But I've only really started to just get around to the idea of, no, you fucking moron. If you look at something, if you're looking at clear reference photo, it's only going to help to make it better. Sorry for the ding in the mug if you heard that. If you're looking at something, it's only going to make it better. It's going to give it more detail. It's going to feel more true to the character. It's going to feel more true to, wood texture. It's going to feel more true to the chisel he's holding. All of those things. So that's something I'm very actively working on at this point in my artistic journey. And again, not as much on this one, although I obviously did look a lot at the original reference drawings or official character art for Chetney and his woven form. No doubt there at all. But yeah, that's something I'm actively working on, and I just want to make that clear. Not really, to explain my process, but if there is anyone who does art or anything creative, looking at reference material is there for a reason. You should do it because it's helpful, regardless of what you're designing, what you're making. If you're writing a story and you have a character, like, draw from the things that exist. It's silly to think that what you're going to make isn't going to be unique. Because it is. You're putting your interpretation, you're putting your perspective on it. Now, you shouldn't copy something. That's why it's good to take multiple reference points, but you should use that material that's there, because it's only going to help to enrich your own creation, I guess. Yeah, there's me ranting in a slightly philosophical way. It's always going to happen. I'm too self-aware and introspective to not, so I hope you enjoy that, because it's going to be a reoccurring process for me. Coffee sip. Yeah, again, with the wolf there, though, like all these hashing lines, those definitely stay. I feel like some of the Chetney ones lighten up, but I could be mistaken. I'm thinking of the finished piece when there's all the colors and lighting more fully rendered, so it's hard for me to recall what all the underline work truly looks like at that point. But the wolf specifically, like the inside of the mouth, all those nose creases and the skin folds around the teeth as he snarls, like, I thought those really turned out really fun and interesting. And you can see how much more they pop once you throw those in, just compared to the baseline work. It might look really simplistical. It might look really simplistic to start, but you throw those on and it's like an entirely different dimension, right? It's like, we have gone from 3D to 5D. Yeah, here's me just sussing out his mouth. You can see, like, I throw these lines in, I kind of retwork them, I throw them back. Retwork. Yeah, that's what I chose to say. But the angle at which you add those lines work to describe the shape that it's doing, right? So if it's like concave, you want your line to swoop in that way. If it's convex, then you have the line go arcing over the top. And if you change that angle by mistake, it's totally gonna go against the form you're trying to describe. So sometimes I throw a line on thinking that, oh yeah, this is the way I want to do it, and then I'm like, no, idiot, it goes the other direction. You'll see that a lot. Like, I'll throw it in there and I'll put it back, and really what I'm describing here is the low and the high points, right? Where the light hits, where the shadow hits, is what I'm trying to really insinuate with these hashings. And sometimes I throw it on top and I realize, like, oh no, that would be counterproductive to where the light is sitting, so it doesn't really help describe the shape, it more just muddies it. But yeah, that's the intent here, what we're trying to do. But yeah, really happy with how these two faces came out in particular. Pretty cool from my perspective. And I like the character of his hands, right? I like how expressive his hands are with his, like, little pinky sticking out. I thought it was fun. We're playing with a little bit of foreshortening here. You can see his face a little popped forward. His front hand is much larger than his back hand. Foreshortening is a bitch and a half. It can make your drawing look super cool, super dynamic, just a lot of visual interest, but it can be very hard to master that and make it, really look accurate to life, because as your hand gets closer, your hand's going to get larger. As it's back here, it's much smaller. So those are all things you have to play around on when you're doing a drawing in this way. Even his lower shoulder and bicep and tricep there, it honestly probably could have been bigger because it's closer to the camera technically. Now this is a slightly up tilted camera and like looking down, so like kind of looking down on me like this. So his front shoulder might not have been too much larger, but I probably could have accentuated it even more, and I'm 90% certain I did not do that. Yeah. But again, yeah, this is just this is a little bit older piece that I just finalized, but really the majority of it was done. What I was finalizing was really the shading, the rendering, the coloring. I'm gonna say it 10 ways every time, but I was finalizing that. So the majority of the line work and everything had already been completed. But if there's any specific fan art, because I'll obviously continue to do fan art as well as my own pieces for my story, but I'll obviously continue to do a lot of fan art. If there's any properties you'd like to see, let me know. I had a comment in a recent video that it referenced or asked for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Aqua Teen Hunger Force for my cousin, so thank you. But if anybody would like to see anything specific, let me know. I'd love to venture out. Aqua Teen specifically is something that I liked a lot as a kid, but I've never done fan art for, so I'm actually kind of excited to see how that's going to go. But JoJo I've never even seen, so maybe you have properties that are cool that I've never seen that'll give me an opportunity to watch those and draw a character. They might not all be huge pieces. This is a pretty large piece, having 2 characters. It's fully rendered to give kind of a whole scene, right? It's not just like one character in a single color background with nothing really happening. This is more of a full like art piece. They won't probably be all this significant, but yeah, if there's anything you'd like to see, you let me know. I'd love to know about it. It'd be super cool. But yeah. So again, still playing with Shadow. We're going in to give more context. You can see, obviously, I gave him more fur to his whole neck area, the wolf form. Giving some more solid colors here after I originally roughed them out. A little bit of shadow. You can see I've actually added a candle. And I don't believe I ever actually add any line work to the candle. I think I leave it all color if I recall correctly. Hello, Quoth. Everybody say hi, Quoth. Hi. Yeah, adding a little bit of depth, a little bit of darkness here. You can see now I'm starting to play around a little bit with the, hey, look, there he is. Everybody can see Quoth. Look. Quoth. Oh, he's so pretty. He's a good boy. Playing around with some of how that light is going to change or bounce. And he's right in my face. Sorry for the cat butt. Don't look. Stop. Don't look at it. It's not for you. Okay, buddy. Shh. Lay down. Yeah, sorry if he's really loud. But you can see we're playing around with the depth of color here. Try to actually insinuate that there is darkness, and we're just getting pops on the surfaces of the forms or the creatures, right? It's like the hands of the wolf, the face of the wolf. Most of like that upper body is a little bit darker because it's deeper, it's further back, further away from the light source, which will be the candle. And I refine that going forward. I think I'm about to get into the details of the hat more thoroughly because I haven't really lined them out here. I didn't have to make them all so directly lined, but his hat is like a knit cap. It's woven and it has so much design detail just in like the knitting pattern, so it took quite a long time. That was the part I was not excited to make, but I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy that I chose to do that instead of leaving like more flat colors. You can see here I started to do some vertical lines here to go into it, and I did the rough color blocks first to help figure out how that was going to be lined out, right? I figured out how thick some of like those T's were going to be, and then did the rough columns or the vertical rows, and now you can see I'm going through adding all like these checked hash marks, which is where all of the yarn or wool or whatever is going to be actually woven or knitted, creating these bump textures. Yep, and the whole way down, the sides and the top, obviously. It's a lot of little details, and it goes real quick here, but I promise it wasn't super fast. It was tedious. Yeah, so here Chetney's face has quite a bit of depth. It's not, perfect, but you can tell there's like an underlight source. You can tell that there's quite a bit of depth by the sides of his face, like his nose and into that eye region. It softens a bit once I add some more highlighting filters. Stop, Quoth. You're going to pause my recording. Please don't do that. Thank you. Now, you can come over here. Once I add some of those highlighting features, it doesn't stay as much depth, which I think is something I probably could have went back and added later, but I didn't really get around to. This is a piece that I definitely wanted to finish, and I'm overall happy with it, but not 100% sold on it here. Yep, going through it in fur texture and detail. Yeah, here's something I did is, like I said earlier, I mentioned it briefly, the blue or purpley orange and all those colors bouncing off of each other. So it's real basic, but as far as, colors through the composition of light in your scene, a lot of times you want to play with contrasting colors for the most effect, right? So, or complementary colors. So you have, green and red, and you have yellow and purple, you have orange and blue. Just part of the color wheel. We're not going to get into anything crazy with like color theory or anything, but so this overall lighting composition, I wanted to have a decent balance of like the blue versus the orange. Your deeper shadows, I went into more of an orange purple, where the lighter highlights are into a yellow blue. Something I play with a lot here, and you can see me now, is finding the right color balance between the line art. Like, I want the line art to be noticeable, I want it to be distinct and defining the character, but I don't necessarily always want it to be black. Here's one I played around with it, making it red. You can see I did a lot of things here that I didn't end up keeping. I thought the red popped a lot, and it let you see a lot of details on the wolf in particular, because the top of his face is so dark. But I didn't like how it made Chetney look necessarily, and like the hat and stuff. I believe I eventually get to like an orange color, and this, we're getting pretty close to the end here. So, but yeah, I believe it was originally orange. So, that's how I ended, not originally orange. Yeah, so we're getting into some of the final art here, and that is it. Yeah, so that's Chetney. That's my piece. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear what your thoughts were on the piece. If you had any interesting thoughts, is there anything you'd like to see or hear from me, as far as, different types of characters I can draw, different rendering styles that you like or don't like. Again, this one was much more of a kind of a textured color, so it wasn't as even swatches that are fully separate. There's a bit of detail, and that can be good or bad, but yeah, either way. If you liked it, let me know. Yeah, thanks for watching. Till next time. See you then.